All right, guys, we have a very special guest today. His name is Matt McGunkin, but he is known as Dappz. He is founder of Dappz Sports out of Los Angeles. And wait until you guys hear this story. If you haven't heard of him, buckle up, guys. We have a great show in store. Hi, Matt.
Jeff, so glad to be here. I appreciate you having me on.
You know what? I'm really interested to talk to you about your mediocre, not a mediocre, rise, because guys, he started Dappz Sports in 2000 out of his basement, kind of during the heights of the pandemic, and by 2001 he was grossing over 10 million daily live streams across many social medias. He's generating more than 15 million views today. So you have a lot of eyes, my friend. A lot of people are following you. Why do you think you grow so quickly in such a short time?
Well, from my end over here, I saw a tremendous opportunity in the sports card market. Everybody on Instagram was posting pictures of their cards, right? And all I would
Yep.
see is raw cards or PSA or Beckett graded cards. And I thought, I don't want to just create another account that's posting cards. I want to create some type of content that provides a little more value, just something interesting to the hobby. And previous to this, I was actually just making skits in LA as a hobby, joking around with my buddies. So I had been behind the camera and in front of the camera, kind of producing and editing. And the way Dappz Sports actually started was I was buying, selling, and trading cards. And I wanted to share my experience with people. And I wanted people to see, hey, I bought this Dame Lillard for $300 and I just sold it for $1,200. I just made a couple bucks on this card, right? So
Yep.
as I started to make some money in my investments in slabs and raw cards, I started to document them in YouTube videos, and Dappz Sports began through entertainment, right, and education of sports cards.
Do you think your audience wants to get rich from sports cards, or you think that they enjoy the sports cards and the money will follow, so to speak?
I think there's definitely some people who try to use sports cards to flip, but I think majority of people genuinely love the cards. And I know that because the majority of people, when we're live streaming and we're running a break, hit a big card that's worth $1,000 or $2,000, and they get an offer on the spot, they say no.
Yeah, I mean, the breaking community has had a lot of negative connotations, right, in terms of backyard breaks and some of these other guys that are out there. But you've kind of been able to surf above that, right? And why do you think that is?
Well, listen, there's a tremendous amount of companies out there who are running live streams, running break-in. Layden Sports Cards been around for 10 years, right? So it's not, a lot of people think this is new, right? But it's not new. It's been around for a while now.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong, with Facebook live streams, Instagram live streams, TikTok live streams, all kind of coming to a rise in the last 3 or 4 years. I think that's where you're seeing the platforms really exposing breaking, right? And what's cool about breaking is if you or I, we go to Target or we go to our local hobby shop, you buy a blaster, or maybe you buy a mega box, or maybe you have enough money to buy a hobby box. You bring it home, you rip it open, maybe you spent $500 on a hobby box and you hit $1,000 card. Now you're in your bedroom alone. Maybe your mom's in the kitchen. You could tell her,
right? Look what I got.
yeah, but she might not be as happy as you are. She's not elated like you are, right? But you're on a live stream with an audience of 200 or 300 people who all love sports cards and they're all in the community and they're all interested. It's cool to have that audience, and that's what I think breaking really brings to the hobby.
Do you have any online people, online entertainers, I'm going to say that you have married your style to, or did you develop your own style? And was there someone that kind of mentored you through the beginning? Because it's a learning curve. When you first start, you don't know what you're doing. You're in the dark, but you seem to have hit the ground running, so to speak.
Absolutely. And I think when it comes to a breaker, right, there's 3 things that I would look for in hiring a breaker. And the first is entertaining. Are they entertaining, right? That's
Yep.
what you're kind of talking about. And I believe in a way that I'm unique in that I was creating content previous to sports cards. So it allowed me to hop on a live stream And I love sports. My dad taught golf. He's a PGA professional. My grandfather was actually a scout for the New York Jets. So I grew up in a football family, and all these statistics and information about football and basketball and baseball were useless. I used them with my friends, right? But now on a live stream, when people are buying packs of cards from me, it became super, super interesting, right? So now all this useless information became useful, and I could reference, I remember when Tom Brady got sacked by Mo Lewis back in 2001, and the Jets knocked out Bledsoe, and then Brady comes in. Excuse me, I said
Yeah,
the reverse.
you got it.
But they knocked Bledsoe out, right? And then Brady comes in. Like, I remember that as a kid. If you were born in 2000, you might not remember that, right? And we have a ton of kids who are 23 years old who are watching our live streams. So you bring that kind of useless information onto a live stream, and now it's interesting because our whole audience is sports fans, right? So entertainer is number one. The second thing I would look for in a streamer is a salesman, right? Because you got to be able to sell the cards, right? So salesman, that's the second thing.
Right, because in the end, all they are pieces of cardboard, right?
It's just cardboard, right? That's what I hear all the time. And then in addition to being an entertainer or a salesman, you're looking for a product expert, right? Somebody who is genuinely passionate about sports cards. That's really, people are going to pay attention to that person, because if you're buying into a break or you're buying sports cards, whether it's packs or personal boxes, and the person who's ripping them for you is giving you information about, hey, this is who you're really looking for in this particular product. In Prism, gold prisms are the most sought after card, but you could also hit a color blast. But also at a first off the line, there's 2 shimmers in every box, either numbered to 25 or 35. So it's helpful if you're new to the hobby and somebody is educating you while you're ripping.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that because a lot of your audience and a lot of people that get involved in breaking are new to the hobby, right? This is how their first inroads into the hobby. As a young person come in, or even somebody my age, what do you recommend getting into break? Is there a product that you recommend, or is there a sport that you recommend, or is there is there a type of break that you recommend to jump in and get your feet wet?
Well, I would never recommend any sport to any particular person. If you're a baseball fan, I would rip baseball. If you're a football fan, then rip football. Whatever sport you like the most. I mean, listen, I'm a sports fan across the board, but football is my favorite, and I particularly like to rip football above other products. But what's cool about Dappz Sports is on our TikTok stream, any night of the week, 24/7, you can come in and we're going to offer retail boxes mixed with hobby boxes, right? Okay. So there's hobby boxes. Prism boxes are expensive, $700, $800, $900, $1,000. Not everybody can afford that. But if I mix that box with 2 mega boxes, right, and I create a break out of it, now I can get everybody to buy in, pick your team break, buy the Niners, buy the Patriots, buy the Jets, buy the Dolphins. And now you have $100? Do you have $50? Do you have $30 to buy a team? Because you can still participate in a break. So I think that that's really, really important for the hobby, is offering those price points where you don't need hundreds or thousands of dollars to get in. And if you're new to us on TikTok and our live stream, we have teams in break sometimes that are $9. The Browns are not the most sought after, the Rams, the Raiders sometimes, they just don't have any rookies that you want to chase. But that doesn't mean you can't hit a Nick Chubb auto, right? So it's cool to offer those price points and give people an entry-level position for the hobby in one of our Dappz Sports live streams.
So really you would recommend, first, find a sport that you like. Second, make it affordable so that if you can afford $20 or $100 or whatever. And then is there a better chance of hitting the big card at higher end breaks, or it's just kind of luck of the draw in terms of which break you get into?
Well, my recommendation before all of that is obviously rip what you like, but watch breaks. Put your hours of watch time in, and we can call that research, right? If you're watching breaks, you're watching product being ripped. And then you, as the buyer, need to decide what product you like. And that's subjective. It's like art, right? Illusions versus Prism versus Optic versus Mosaic. There's so many different brands. So first you got to watch all the product get ripped. And then you have to understand what are the most valuable cards, or even maybe not the most valuable, maybe just the cards that you are the most attracted to, right? And then once you figure out the cards that you're the most attracted to, for the sake of this conversation, we're just going to use Prism because it's the most popular brand there is for both
Yep.
NBA and NFL, right? So let's pretend you like Prism. And let's pretend Kenny Pickett is your favorite player and you are chasing Kenny Pickett rookies. Now, Kenny Pickett, if you want to buy a box of Prism, you're going to spend somewhere around $500, $600, $700 for a box of Prism.
Right, closer to $700.
Right,
Closer to $700.
it's not cheap, right? But guess what? We have breaks that run a Prism box every night of the week, and the Steelers are $99. So the smart way to do that, if you're chasing Kenny Pickett, is you could enter our break for the same $700 price point, except you're chasing Kenny Pickett in 7 boxes instead of 1. And that's where breaks come in and make things super interesting because, again, maybe you don't want Kenny Pickett. Maybe you think Kenny Pickett stinks. Maybe you don't believe in Brock Purdy. You don't like the whole draft class. You're a Ravens fan. Guess what? The Ravens are $29.99, right? And you could buy them 10 times and you get every Ravens card for $300, right? And that's half the price of 1 box.
Of 1 box,
and now
sure.
you got all the Ravens in 10 boxes. And that's what's very interesting about breaking, right? Is that you could, once you understand how the game works, you can say, okay, this is the price of the box or the product that I like, and I'm going to up my chances of getting the guy or the athlete that I want in those boxes and spending the same amount of money across 7, 8, 9, 10 boxes instead of buying 1 box.
Are you concerned with the corporate control of breaking in terms of Fanatics trying to get a hold of breaking, eBay trying to get a regulating breaking, the changing of the hobby in terms of Panini being phased out in a couple of years? Is there a concern for you that you see breaking changing in the next couple of years?
Well, that's an interesting question. What I would say is I'm not concerned. Everything, when it gets attention on it, there's going to be rules and there needs to be regulation because, again, you don't want to buy something online and you think you hit an autograph of your favorite player and you get shipped a box of rocks, right? And that's why there's companies like Amazon and there's companies that if you buy something on Amazon and it doesn't get shipped to you and you click refund, you get a refund immediately, right? So you got to look at, you have to have something like that, which I believe is the Fanatics of our market, right? Fanatics is going to come in and regulate. And of course, there's going to be growing pains and some things that change in the hobby, that some for better and some for worse, but such is life, right? And Fanatics' goal, I believe, is to 10x the hobby, right? And I think in 2020 or 21, I saw some Fanatics and eBay reps up on the panel at the Mint Collective, and they said last year 3 million people bought a sports card. From Fanatics that same year, 80 million people bought a jersey or piece of merchandise. So now if Fanatics has 80 million people to market to, right, and they throw some sports cards in their face, we're talking about this market, like the potential is nuts.
Oh, I know. They want to grow the hobby 10 times in such a short period, which is incomprehensible right now.
And the way that I look at it is it doesn't need to happen in the next 2 years. Remember, Fanatics doesn't take over the licenses until 2026. So we've got 2 years of a lot of question marks. We'll
sure.
call it, right? So it's not necessarily, the big bad wolf. Fanatics is coming to town. Like I said, there's going to be some things that Fanatics does that ruffle some feathers the wrong way. There's also going to be tremendous growth, I believe. Listen, I've met Michael Rubin. I've met a lot of the execs over there. They've all been good to me, right? They've always helped out. They put me in touch with a lot of people who I've been able to shoot content with, right? And didn't ask me for anything. So I can only say good things at the moment. Again, I don't know what the future holds. What I do know is I want more people to be aware of sports cards because I love them. I'm super passionate about them. I think they're tremendous and they're cool. And once you understand how grading works, how to submit cards, how you can buy something, when to buy it. I mean, I'm of the opinion that if you were to buy in the off season and sell at the right time, you can make 15 to 30% of your money just buying and selling, right? And
is that still potential? 2 years ago that was widely accepted. Is that still potential as things kind of tighten up and the economy slows down a little and the hobby growth has kind of halted a little.
For sure. But I think that if you were to look at it on a graph and you saw how many sales there were in the hobby 2 or 3 years ago to where they're at now, sure, it spiked up here, but it was here. And now we're here,
Yep.
which is still way above here, right? So that's where we're at right now. And anybody who entered at the peak is going, the market's down. But me, you, we've seen a couple of years of this, right?
Yep.
And listen, I think the 90s were telling, right? They overprinted cards. And I heard a very interesting story. The National in Chicago is coming up, right around the corner.
Yep.
Last year was in Atlantic City. The year before it was in Chicago. So I heard a very interesting story 2 years ago. I met with one of the vendors at the National, and he said, back in the 90s when I sold cards, you picked up the phone, you called Dappz, you said, I need 10 cases of, whatever Don Russ or whatever the print was. Dappz is, it probably wouldn't have been Don Russ from the Dappz agent, but you call any of the manufacturers and say, listen, I need 10 cases of any particular product. They send it. They all sell out. You call back your rep, you go, I need another 20 cases. Send it. You call up your rep, those sold out. I need 50 cases. They're printing them on demand and just shipping, right?
Yep.
Which today's day and age, I can't call Dappz and ask for 20 more cases or 30 more cases. They're like, we're sold out. They go to the distributors. And at the current way that it works is Dappz or Panini manufacturer sells to distributor marks it up, sells to hobby shop or breaker or wherever it goes, right? And then the breakers obviously have to make their margin, right? So that's the way it's touching a lot of hands. Now what happens is Fanatics comes in, and what do I think is going to happen? They're probably going to eliminate some of those hands, right? And they're going to take some of that margin, right? Like you'd have to assume. And then, but again, what from my perspective, it's not really fair to me if Panini makes a product, the distributor gets it because their allocation is huge, and then marks it up whatever they want, really. They set the price there, and then I got to pay that price, and then I'm selling to the end guy who goes, why are these prices so high? And my percentage that I'm making is way smaller than the guy who sold it. Right? So from my perspective, everybody's saying, oh, Fanatics is so bad, and I'm going, well, then you never dealt with the distributors, because to me, they're the guys who are taking all the margin, right? Who are 4, 5, 6xing the box. I mean, listen, think about it. And you can't even be mad at them. If you were sitting on 20 cases of Panini Prism, Joe Burrow year in the middle of the boom, and they've just went from $300 or $400 to $2,000, are you selling them for $600? No, you're going to sell them for the market rate, right?
Right.
So listen, that time is over with, though, I think, where boxes and slabs are going to 5, 6, 7x overnight. But if you have 3 million people who bought a sports card, let's say 2 years ago, and now it's about to be 10, 20, 30 million, I just want you to think about it like this. Particular cards, particular slabs where there's already a set amount, Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, any short print card, if you have access and you purchase that card and that player or athlete remains relevant and 10 million more people come into the hobby, it's supply and demand, right? It's supply and demand. There will obviously be products that are overprinted or printed more than other products and hold less value. But when you're talking about Prism and you're talking about Topps Chrome and you're talking about National Treasures and your big name brands and sports cards, those things are going up in value on short prints if there's more people in the hobby, because there's more people who can buy the cards now.
What would you say to the collector, the young collector that is investing in the John Moran or Mac Jones or some of these guys that Tatis that have risen and dropped fairly quickly because of something that they did off the field, as opposed to investing in the Mount Rushmore guys, the Jordans and LeBrons and Brady's? Is it two different markets in your mind?
Absolutely. I think it's not necessarily markets, it's different strategies, right? So the way I break it down for most people is you have your true collector. So I myself believe I'm a true collector. I'm mixed. We'll call it 70%, 70%.
Well, it's like
80%.
your 401k, right? You invest in the growth fund and you invest in the AT&Ts and Apples, right?
Absolutely. And I would say for me, I'm heavy into long-term plays on legends, right? Who I collect Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, right? And I buy those in PSA 10s or prints that are under 50, let's say. So if I can find something that's a PSA 10 and there's less, like the pop count's under 50, that's attractive to me,
Sure.
right? So in the past year, I got my hands on one of those Dunk and Go PSA 10 Jordans.
Nice.
There's like 60 of those PSA 10, right? So I want people to think about it like this. Check out the sales of Michael Jordan cards in the 90s. These are not rookies, right? Short prints. And remember, the 90s was the junk era too. So check out some of the short print Jordans and what they're selling for today. And my whole point is that the Brady and the Kobe and the LeBron in 10 or 20 years that is printed right now in the last 5 years, those are going to be the cards that go for a good amount of money 10, 20 years from now. Right. So that's the long game, right? That's buying a house and sitting on it and earning a small percentage, but it's nice and safe. That's real estate. Now, if you want to get into, day trading, let's talk about John Morant. Let's talk about Zion. Let's talk about Kenny Pickett, Purdy, right? So there's a tremendous amount of opportunity with Brock Purdy. And I believe right now, because is he the starter? Is Trey Lance the starter? Right? Nobody knows. But the way I analyze this particular situation is no matter what, I like Purdy outside of injury, because if they do ultimately say Trey Lance is the guy, what has to happen to Purdy? He's going to get traded. And if he gets traded, the price of his card is going up. It might go up 10%, it might go up 20%, but it's going up because whoever gets him, that market has just, activated X amount of buyers for that card.
Right. And he has built-in opportunity, right?
Right. Now, if Purdy is actually good, right, which I don't think we've seen a true base of, right? Like, I don't have enough body of work to see or analyze. Is Brock Purdy that guy? I'll tell you one thing. He didn't lose up until the game that he only played half, right, in the playoffs. He didn't lose the Niners. So that has to be
or is he Zach Wilson? Right.
Or is he Zach Wilson? But if he ends up being the starter for the Niners, and the Niners have a great defense, and they have a lot of weapons, they have Christian McCaffrey, they have Deebo Samuel, they have Brandon Ayuk, they have George Kittle, they are stacked on offense. If Brock Purdy looks like a good quarterback, the price of his cards of what they are right now will go up in the middle of the season, right? And generally speaking, too, I'm not even a proponent of buying and hoping for that in the middle of the season. I just think Brock Purdy's price right now is at a reasonable amount. And what you can do is check Brock Purdy's price against the Lamar Jackson or against the Josh Allen or against the 10th best quarterback in the league, right? Check his price in relation to those guys. And that's how you kind of like get your feet wet with, okay, of all the quarterbacks in the league, is Brock Purdy 10th on the list? Is he 20th on the list? Is he 25th on the list, right? And if you think, I think Brock Purdy is like number 10, and his price is half of that of the number 9 guy, you go, there's opportunity right there.
Right. You're looking for opportunities, right?
Right. And that's a simple search on eBay, right? eBay is the sports marketplace to figure out how much are these cards selling for, because you're going to find daily sales of Purdy and Mahomes and Burrow and Herbert, right? All these guys, they sell every single day on eBay. So it's a great place to figure out where their price point is.
We have the National coming up in a couple of weeks in Chicago. What do you think the buzz is going to be at the National, and what do you think is kind of going to be, top of front of the mind topic? Last year it was the Mickey Mantle card. Everyone wanted to see that Mickey Mantle card, and the breaking pavilion was outstanding last year. What do you think is going to be hot this year at the National?
I think that all the applications of their live stream launches are going to be talked about and highly marketed, right? So you have both eBay and Fanatics launching live stream apps, and they're going to be pushing that into everybody's faces. So I don't necessarily know if that's what us as consumers want to hear. We like to hear the Mickey Mantle card. What's it going for? Like, that's cool to us. Obviously that triple Logoman LeBron James chase last year, that had a lot of hype behind it, right? That was really cool. But in terms of what I think they're going to be pushing at the National, it's 100%. Anybody who has a new live streaming app, they're trying to get all the customers onto their app or take as much of the market share as possible, right? Listen, live shopping which is basically what breaking is, in my opinion, is the future. So live shopping, what that is defined by is if you've been on Instagram or Facebook over the last couple of weeks, right, or last couple of months, let's say, and you see a t-shirt or a pair of glasses or a hat that you like, and you're like, you know what, I want to buy this. You make a buy, get shipped to you a couple of weeks later. Imagine you could have been able to buy that same pair of glasses, except there was a live streamer, just like a breaker on there. And you go, hey, does that come in a different color? And he goes, yeah. Actually, I got blue right here and I got red. And he's talking to you in real time. That's live shopping, right? That allows people to be on their phones, but they get that experience of being in an actual shop.
Do you think AI is going to take precedent in the hobby in the next year?
I think AI will take precedent everywhere in different versions. I think that a lot of people get scared by the talk of AI, and everybody thinks about Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and it's all over. But I think AI is going to rapidly change a lot of businesses and a lot of different markets. But at the same time, you still have to have human beings monitoring the AI and controlling the AI. So I think that what will happen is you're going to start to see new positions being developed where, similar to 10 years ago, there was no social media manager in 2011 at any corporation, but now it's a position in every single office. So you might have a similar position being created, AI manager, AI media manager, right? And everybody will need their own AI hire, so to speak.
Do you think as a hobby, we've done a good job weeding out fakes and spotting fakes and weeding that out of the hobby?
Well, I think the hobby is tremendous in protecting each other, right, and itself. So I've been at the Dallas Card Show before, and I've witnessed somebody stealing from a booth, and that guy's caught same day, right? They got the cops there on the spot. That is not tolerated, right? And that translates to online too. I think that you've seen over the past year a number of accounts taking cards off screen and trying to pocket the cards, right? So I know that we had sent over an account. One of the employees for this company, Retail King, had taken a downtown off screen, and the chat was like, "What's going on here? There was a downtown in that pack. What happened to it?" And the guy goes, "You're not going to see the downtown." It's like, you're on camera, buddy. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? You do know that there's an audience of people watching you, and any one of those 100 people watching you can take a screenshot, right? So I think a lot of these people, they're just boneheads and they don't think things through, and they think they're smarter than other people and they can get away with it. But at the same time, criminals are going to be criminals, right? And that can be an online criminal or somebody who steals from a store. And there's always going to be thieves. It doesn't matter if it's online or offline, right? And we do our best to try to prevent that from happening. But at the same time, I don't think you need to hold the company's feet to the fire, so to speak. If somebody goes into your local Target and steals something off the shelf, or an employee rather steals something off the shelf and walks out with it, do you get mad at Target or do you get mad at the employee, right? So just because a company like ours, we might have 20 people breaking for us, but if somebody steals from a customer on our camera, they're not going to get mad at that guy. They're going to get mad at Dappz. Right. So again, I think that the hobby does a tremendous job of policing itself, looking after one another. Listen, you have to call out those bad actors. They need to be called out. I know there's been a lot of scammers on Whatnot, obviously, right? We don't break on Whatnot, so I can't really speak to that in detail. But, you obviously hear about it, or you see a post online about this guy got scammed or that guy got scammed. And that's also, when you talk about the big bad wolf, fanatics, are they the big bad wolf?
Nice way to put it, the big bad wolf.
Right, but now that big bad wolf can protect you from things like that, right?
Well, I'm saying I think people think they're the big bad wolf because they don't know what to expect. I think that there's a trepidation and unknown, and I think we've never seen anything like that in our hobby all the way back to when Dappz was the lone wolf in the room. I don't think we've ever seen anything like fanatics in terms of presence and in terms of potential power in the hobby.
Yeah, and listen though, you got to also think about, how about that debut patch? That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
right? That's a Fanatics inspired idea, right? That's an idea that came after the acquisition of Tops by Fanatics. So they're obviously forward thinking. They've got some very interesting ideas. And if that's the first idea they have, that's pretty cool. I mean, taking a patch off of a player's jersey and putting it in a card, having them sign it, like that is a true, not only is that game worn, but you can attribute that to a highlight on television, right? Like you can go back and say, that's the patch. I have the patch that player was wearing, that Drew Jones was wearing in that game. And that's cool.
What do you think is the most important factor for Dappz success moving forward into 2023 and into 2024? What keeps you up at night? The one you're worried about continued success of Dappz Sports?
I don't think anything keeps me up at night because I work so hard all day long that I'm gassed by the time the night comes. But for Dappz Sports, we look at ourselves above a breaking company as a media company, right? We create a lot of content. We had this video that we posted this week on TikTok that did almost 5 million views. So when we're
jealous.
talking about and listen, but the previous 9 videos to us didn't do up to our standard, right? So you got to take 10 at bats to get that one viral video, right? And I think that a lot of people outwardly look at us and think, oh, well, it's easy to create TikToks. There's a lot of work that we put into this stuff, man, to do a TikTok video every day. There's a lot of money we invest, right? Our team over here at Dappz Sports, our editors, our producers, our content creators, they do an incredible job. Hats off to them, seriously. And we need to continue to produce content for the hobby because we don't think that the hobby has enough of it. And we think that going forward, if we went from 3 million to 10 million to 20 million, 30 million people who are going to buy a sports card, those people also need to be educated. Those people also need to be entertained. And that's what Dappz Sports wants to do above all else, above breaking even, is making sure those people have content to consume and make sure they understand how do you know what price a card is worth? Where do we direct them to figure that out?
Yep.
Right. How do you get entertained by the recording of 2 kids opening a box and spending money and being down? Because that's the real experience. Sometimes you buy a box and you're down. Sometimes you're up. But that's sports cards, right?
Well, why don't you let my listeners know if they want to get involved in a Dappz break or just a break in general, how would they go about doing it? Because it's still foreign to a big percentage of people out there, right? That they know of breaks, but they maybe never got involved in a break. And why don't you let people know, oh, I'm really interested in getting a break. I just like to watch some breaks and then get involved. How do they sign up for an account on Dappz, and how do they get involved in watching a break on Dappz and really buying into a break on Dappz?
They can go to dappzsports.com. We got a ton of breaks, packs, boxes. Everything is available on there. I would recommend make sure you got the TikTok app. We have 2 streams up 24/7, Dappz Sports and Dappz Sports Breaks. And it's really just preference of what break you want to enter. Come in, just watch the stream, watch hours and hours and hours of streaming if you're new, because you got to figure out what product you like first. And then
it's so addictive, isn't it, Matt? You just I can watch breaks all day long because it's just so entertaining.
Well, it's entertaining. There's a mixture of art. The cards are art. We like to mix a lot of signed helmets, mini helmets, full-size helmets, jerseys into our breaks too. So last night, for example, somebody bought the Chiefs. No Chiefs cards got hit in the first 5 boxes. We ripped 2 jerseys open. Last box is a full-size helmet, gold alternate signed Patty Mahomes helmet.
Oh, that's nice.
And that's just a cool reward when you're in a break to win a signed piece of mem like that. It's a very, very cool experience. And I say every single day on a Dappz Sports stream, somebody 10x's their money. And you look at me and go, how can that be true, Dappz? And I go, that doesn't mean you made 10 grand. You spent $30 at Dappz Sports on the Ravens and you had a $300 card. And that happens. Somebody's going to do that every day. Somebody's going to spend $50, go home with 500. Somebody's going to spend $10, go home with 100. Somebody's going to spend 300 and hit a $3,000 card. And it's just because we do so much volume, right? We rip so many cards open that somebody is going to 10x their money.
What do you say to the people that come by and they say that the card manufacturers, Panini, Fanatics, Topps, are seeding the breaking community with the big hits. Do you think there's some truth to that, or do you think it's just because of the number of boxes that you're open, just mathematical, that you're going to have more hits than say some retail guy?
Intuitively, I would like to believe that nobody is giving anybody boxes. And we're actually over here at Dappz Sports, we're looking to produce a piece of content where we go into the actual manufacturing process, right? We film the whole thing and we get a better understanding of how it works. Because as it's been explained to us, for anybody to slide a particular card into a particular box or mark that box, extremely difficult. So what we want to do is we want to produce a piece of content where everyone, our audience, the whole hobby, can really get a true and accurate depiction of how the whole manufacturing process goes down, and then let them decide, do you really think that this card or this box could be loaded with all of the variables in place?
I personally don't think so. I think it's just because you're opening a lot more boxes than some card store probably is only opening 3 of these high-end boxes, where you're probably opening 500 of them. You know what I mean? I think it's just sheer math.
I do. I think if you're going to open 25% of a particular product, you're probably going to get 25% of the one-on-ones. And that's just more one-on-ones than, any other account. So if you open up 25% of any particular product, that means on average, let's just say there's a one-of-one per box. The guy who opens 1 box of that, or 1%, is going to hit one-of-one. You open 25% of it, you're going to get 25 one-of-ones, right? So I know that people will say the math doesn't work exactly like that, Dappz. I'm not saying it works exactly like that. I'm just saying if you open 25% of a particular product, you might hit close to 25% of the one-of-ones of that product. Could be a little less, could be a little more.
Yeah, I mean, you've been doing this since 2020. What has surprised you most about the breaking community and the hobby as a whole? You've had such a great growth in the last couple of years. Did you see that potential when you started? And what has surprised you most about the hobby as a whole?
What has surprised me most about the hobby as a whole? I'm kind of surprised at how much we jump on each other for like the slightest little things. The hobby is such a great inclusive place. That's what it should be. People should be educating others on how you get into it, what the price of a card is, what's valuable, where you can enter at depending on, your budget, right? And there's so much room for everybody to be involved at different levels too, because a prism base, that's pretty affordable. And then a PSA 10 of that prism base, still pretty affordable. Now you're going to get into numbered cards. You're going to get into short prints, your color blast, your stained glass, right? The zebra prints, right? Your tiger prints, whatever it might be. And then you got to determine, can you afford those cards? And if you can't, maybe you save up, right? I remember as a kid, Power Rangers was the biggest show on TV, right? And I saved up $50 to buy Megazord, right? Or Dragonzord, or whatever it was called at the time. It was the Green Rangers, transformative.
Yeah, you're a little over my head on that one.
yeah. But I'm just saying, for our listeners who may have collected Power Rangers, it was a collectible, right? And the whole point is, I saved money to buy that toy. And if you want to save money to buy a card, that's up to you, right? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And some people like downtowns. Some people like kabooms. Some people like color blast. Some people are happy with a gold, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many cards out there. We need to make sure that people are educated. They understand the pricing. They know they're not getting ripped off when they're buying. And that's watching breaks and saying to people inside the breaks, the community talks to one another. Hey, what product are we ripping? Somebody's going to give you an answer in that chat. Hey, how much was the last stained glass Herbert? What did it sell for? Somebody's going to give you an answer in that chat, right? So that's why breaking is so cool. And it shouldn't have any of these negative connotations, because it's a place where people can come and get answers to these questions, right? That's where you strive to get to. It's a spot where not only can be entertained, you can be educated, you can make a purchase, you can get that adrenaline rush if you want to rip a pack, or maybe buy a team in a break. So what surprised me the most is we need to, as a hobby, just be better of making sure we're helping people and not putting them down.
Yeah, and I think transparency on a whole from the breaker and from the manufacturer, and take the shroud of secrecy away from it. I think that would help as well. We're speaking with Matt McGunkin. Matt is known as Dappz. He is the founder of Dappz Sports. He has grown from starting in 2020 in his bedroom to getting over 15 million views on his breaks and content is content, and it's all card related. You can go follow him on TikTok at Dappz Sports, DAPPZ Sports. He's also on Twitch at Dappz Sports and Instagram Dappz Sports. Go to dappzsports.com, right? Dappzsports.com. You want to get involved in any of their breaks, go to dappzsports.com. You can just watch the breaks. You don't even have to invest a nickel. Just go check them out. And if you're like me, I get on TikTok and I just get mesmerized because it's fun to watch. It's really fun to watch these breaks. It really, even if you don't have a horse in the show, so to speak, it's really fun to watch the breaks. I don't know if you're addicted as much as I am to watching these breaks because it's just so much fun.
It's all I do all day.
There's worse ways to make a living and to spend your time, right?
Absolutely. But I'm happy. I'm happy watching breaks all day.
All right, my friend. Is there anything else you'd like to add before I let you go? I really appreciate your time today.
No, I think you did a great job. Like you said, if anybody wants to join us, please come into our stream, Dappz Sports or Dappz Sports Breaks on TikTok. We would love to have you. We would love to answer any questions you have.
Yeah, if you have any questions, you can send me an email for Matt at ttmcast@yahoo.com, and I'll forward it off to Matt and his team, and they will definitely follow up. Matt is going to be at the National. Do you guys have a booth at the National? Do you have a?
We do have a booth. It'll be in the Breakers Pavilion. There are 4 premium booths next to PSA. PSA might need a little extra space, so they have not given us our official booth number yet.
No.
But it'll be on the edge of the Breakers Pavilion and the main floor.
And is there anything special you have planned for the National? If I know a lot of my listeners are going, so is there anything special you have planned for the National?
Absolutely. So we don't tend to sell anything at the National. All we do is shoot content at these shows, and we're going to be doing a ton of giveaways. I am not going to tell you what we are giving away, but I guarantee you it'll be signed merchandise, signed helmets, signed jerseys, boxes of cards. There will be activations, maybe some putt-putt. You hit 3 in a row, maybe you win a prize. So please come by the booth and try to win something.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure meeting you. I'd love to have you back on in a couple months to kind of follow up and see how you did at the National and see how things have changed, because our hobby is changing so quickly, don't you think?
It is changing every single day. It's been an absolute pleasure, Jeff. I'll come on whenever. You just let me know.
All right, thank you. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Jeff.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.